Hey there, and welcome back to the Business Owner Freedom Podcast. This is episode number 54. Today we're talking to Bradley Benner on how to dominate the local market in which you serve. If you listen in, you're going to want to take some notes. He gives us some really deep insight in how to take advantage of what Google gives us at no charge. So listen in and enjoy the journey.
Are you ready to take your business and life to the next level? Now is the time to create the freedom you desire. Welcome to the Business Owner Freedom Podcast, where you will find clarity to help you create massive freedom in your business and life. Here is your host, Gregory Gray.
I'd like to pause for just a minute and think about the word freedom. This podcast is called Business Owner Freedom, and that was done very intentionally because the word freedom denotes a powerful message in and of itself. And as this podcast was recorded the week of a celebration that we have each year in the United States called the 4th of July, I just wanted to pause and think about the word freedom and what it means to all of us, to each one of us around the world. You know, we have the freedom and the ability to create the business and the life that we love. All we have to do is get knowledge and then apply that knowledge, which the definition of that is wisdom. So to be a wise business owner, to learn as much as we can, but then apply what we learn, that's what provides us the freedom of the lifestyle that we're seeking. So when we think about the word freedom and what that really means, it means we have the ability to do something bigger than ourselves. So I want to challenge each and every one of you, as you listen to these podcasts and you grab information from them, go apply those things. Don't just listen and learn and keep learning. That's a trap we often fall into, and I'm speaking to myself here as well. What we need to do is go out and implement. So as you hear the word freedom, think about the things that we are allowed to do and the things that we can do, and let's go do them. Let's do something bigger than ourselves. Also, if you would like to be a part of a group to help you implement, go to businessownerfreedom.com/mastermind and join one of our mastermind groups. All right, now help me welcome Bradley Benner to the show. Hey, Bradley, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Greg.
Well, it's our pleasure. We know we're going to get some great information from our conversation today, and I'm very excited about it. To get us started off, though, Bradley, take us through kind of some of your history and how you got to where you are today.
All right. Well, it's a great question. I actually was an electrical contractor, so I was in the construction industry and had done that for close to 20 years. And I was, I've been an electrician for many of those years, but for the last probably 3 or 4 years of that business, I actually became a contractor. So I was looking to get leads for my own type of business. And one of the things that the traditional marketing for getting leads was becoming harder and harder. And and this was around 2010 timeframe. So when I say traditional marketing, like print advertising, for example, yellow pages, things like that, the web at that point was really where most leads were coming from for local type businesses, pretty much any type of local business, but certainly for construction type businesses as well. Mm-hmm. And I needed to learn how to start generating additional leads for my own business. And I didn't have the money or the knowledge on how to go out and hire a marketing consultant to do it. So I decided to take a stab at it myself. And I started learning about search engine optimization and how to get leads from search engines, basically from Google mainly. And I got pretty much addicted to it. I got bit by the bug. I found it incredibly fascinating. And so I started doing that, and I got fairly good at it rather quickly and realized that I had more potential to make money as generating leads for the construction companies that I worked with than I could continuing to do electrical work, which I thought was interesting. I thought it would be more fun. I could also work from home. And so really what I started doing was building websites and lead generation assets, Google Maps listings and such for the other contractors that I worked with on several different other construction projects. And I got really good at generating leads for construction businesses. And within about 2 years, from 2010 to 2012, I got to a point where I had enough experience and enough of a portfolio of sites and lead generation assets that were producing that I opened up my own agency so that I could provide digital marketing services for local businesses. Not just lead generation services, but also helping local businesses to really build up their online presence. So working on their assets as well. And I got really good at that. I enjoyed it. And in around 2013, about a year after I'd opened my agency, I got involved with a mastermind, a digital marketing mastermind with some other guys that had, some other folk that had their own marketing agencies. And I formed a little accountability group where on a weekly basis, we would get on a Google Hangout, so essentially a web conference, and we would talk with each other and share what was working, what wasn't working, different strategies and methods and all that kind of stuff. And we did that every single week for several months. And then we realized that what we were sharing was valuable enough that we should bring it to market. And that's where we ended up creating what's called Semantic Mastery, which is my training and coaching company and digital information company now, where we actually teach local marketing methods to aspiring local marketers, but also to a lot of business owners that want to learn how to do marketing themselves or have somebody in-house, like, an employee or something that they want to learn how to get better results with their own lead generation.
That's an incredible journey. I mean, think about that. You took two big steps and both of them were, quite different than what you were doing, especially the first one. I mean, going from an electrical contractor to being a marketing agency is incredible. I mean, you just found a need and filled it, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'd say so. And again, it was really because I just was absolutely fascinated with it. I'm a bit obsessive compulsive. I think most entrepreneurs really are.
Yes. Yes.
And when I got started understanding how to do it and I started seeing results and I started to be able to repeat those results, it became addictive. And again, I thought, instead of me going out, climbing up and down ladders and yanking wire all day long, I could sit behind my computer at home, not have to deal with traffic, and generate leads for other businesses. And it became fun and lucrative. So I dove in with both feet.
Well, another word you use that I think is extremely powerful is mastermind. We actually are starting a mastermind as we speak right now for small business owners, and we have a few spots open, and I find it very fascinating that you created a mastermind, and through that mastermind came a whole new venture, because you found that the information was so powerful in a mastermind that it needed to be marketed. That's just incredible to me.
One of the things that I always recommend to our members, we actually have a paid mastermind group for Semantic Mastery now, which is our highest level coaching program essentially. And I'm always encouraging, my partners and I are always encouraging our members to form their own little group, small group masterminds, because the networking and the opportunities can present themselves that would not have otherwise presented themselves had they not been networking with each other. So I always encourage people, don't just come here and consume information and listen, participate and talk with, and, have conversations with other members, because it's very likely that you could end up finding your own new business model or venture by partnering with other members of the mastermind, which is exactly how we formed Semantic Mastery.
That's fascinating. When you first formed that mastermind, did the members that you were asking, since you were sort of competitors, if you will, were they any way apprehensive, or did they just jump right in, or was it sort of a mixed message? Or
no, we didn't have any resistance whatsoever, and I think that's because the internet has made the world a much smaller place. And and as a matter of fact, I have 4 other partners in Semantic Mastery, and only one of them is in the U.S. My three of my other partners are international: Austria, Costa Rica, and Argentina. And
wow.
So really we weren't competitors at all. We all have our own local marketing agencies to our own local areas. So it really didn't, it's not like we were fighting over the same leads.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you put together, your agency from being an electrical contractor. So walk us through sort of some of the nuts and bolts that you've learned by doing this over the years, because there's electrical contractor listening right now, and there's some other contractors, and there's people that work in the medical field, and there's people working in manufacturing, and all these different types of service businesses are listening to, HVAC, plumbers, whoever, and they're going, wow, I need to get some leads like that, but they don't want to do what you did and necessarily get off the ladder and go sit in the house and learn all this stuff. How do you tell them to begin? Where do they forge that path?
Well, that's a great question. And, my agency specifically, I have my own agency independent and apart from Semantic Mastery. And that's called Big Bamboo Marketing. And I primarily 90% of my clients are contractors. And again, because of my contracting background, it just made sense. I'm comfortable dealing with contractors. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I can recommend right off the bat is there are so many different marketing methods out there. It can be completely overwhelming, as I'm sure most of your audience is aware of.
Yes.
There, between social media marketing and SEO, which is search engine optimization, and content marketing and email marketing and pay-per-click marketing and Google ads and, video marketing and all these different things, it can become completely overwhelming. And the problem is too many companies or too many times people are told, or business owners are told, that they need to do a little bit of everything.
Yes.
And what I've learned over the last now 9 years that I've been in the digital marketing business, primarily generating leads for local contractor type businesses, is that you really don't need to do all that. There's really three main areas that you should focus on. And that would be reputation. So, and I'll explain here in just a minute why I think that you should lead with reputation first.
Okay.
But then search engine optimization, number 2. And lastly, for, again, just strictly speaking for lead generation for local businesses, in the top 3 order: reputation, search engine optimization, and lastly, remarketing, or retargeting as it's known, which is a form of pay-per-click marketing. And the reason I say that is because I have learned and done every sort of type of marketing known to man, basically, in the digital space, right? So over my career, I have tried and attempted all these different types of marketing methods, because I too have drank the Kool-Aid that has been given to us saying that we need to do all of these things. But what I have found is that a lot of those things are, like social media marketing for contractors, for example, doesn't really work. It doesn't really produce that much of a return, not because people on Facebook aren't looking for roofers. People on Facebook are there to converse or to interact with other people and look at funny cat memes and stuff like that. They're not necessarily there. They're not in the mindset of, I got a roof problem, I need to be on Facebook to find, you know what I mean? So typically search engines marketing for generating leads is the best thing you can do for local businesses. But when I say web users, internet users have evolved, and we are a lot more sophisticated now than we were 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And so just having a Google Maps listing or a website listing that ranks at the top of Google, and let's be clear here, guys, 7 out of all 10 searches originate from Google, not, Bing and Yahoo are only 30% together. So yes. Google is the big behemoth that we should all be targeting. And of that, by the way, 6 or 7 out of every one of those searches are from mobile devices now, especially for searches with local intent, right? And there's a lot of opportunity there, and we can get to that if we have time. But again, just having a website listed or a Google Maps listing, or what is known now as a Google My Business listing, ranked at the top of the search engine is not enough, really. It does help, certainly, to get phone calls and leads, but reputation is incredibly important, because I'm sure most of your audience knows that if somebody does a search with local intent, so, roofer near me, or tree service in my area, or tree service plus city name, they put the city name in as an appendage, or append the city name, excuse me. Anytime there's a search with local intent, it usually returns what's called the Maps 3-pack. There's the ad section at the top, which is where you're paying Google, which can be rather expensive. It can be effective to have Google search pay-per-click marketing, but it can be incredibly expensive. And again, I'm sure a lot of your audience knows that. But if you can get ranked in that 3-pack, that's really the gold that's like the gold standard for getting leads. And that's called organic rank. Well, there's the Maps ranking, and then below that's what's called the organic rankings. But the thing about it is just being ranked in that 3-pack isn't enough, because let's say you're a business that has, only 1 or 2 reviews or no reviews. And there are the other 2 businesses, because it's only showing 3 listings in that 3-pack, have 10 reviews, and it's a 4+ star rating. And the other business might have 15 or 20 reviews. Then those other two are going to be much more attractive to the prospect that's searching for the product or service than the listing that doesn't have it. So I always recommend that, back in the day, 5-10 years ago, it was enough to just be ranked number one or in the top 5 or so. Now with the Maps 3-pack the way it is, you really need to be in the top 3, or else you're basically obsolete. So
wow.
But if you're not proactively building your reputation, then you're going to get passed over or less call volume than people that may even be ranked below you, because they are deemed more trustworthy just from even complete stranger social reviews or service reviews on their Maps listing. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And so let me ask you this question. Does the algorithm, does it rank the 3-pack in a certain order based on those reviews and all? Or is that just something that people are looking and witnessing?
Well, there is a correlation,
Okay.
but there are so many different ranking factors in total.
Okay.
Yeah, it just makes a small piece of the overall pie, so to speak.
Okay. So the local business, first thing they need to do is, like you said, work on the reputation and really ask for reviews, right? You
Correct.
want to load many, many good reviews, 5-star reviews in there from your clients if you can.
Correct.
And then the second thing you said was SEO. So you be in that top 3. So how do you work with a company to get them in that 3-pack and keep them there? How does that work?
Well, right now, the best thing one of the best things possible is using the Google My Business platform, which is Google Maps. That's essentially where your Maps listing is managed, is within Google My Business. And over the last year, Google has provided a lot of tools. They're all free to use within the Google My Business dashboard, including a GMB. We'll just use GMB as short now. But GMB website, there's the GMB posts now, which posts are very much like Facebook posts would be, or blog posts would be from your website. It's a way to market, do content marketing on a regular and consistent basis. And let me explain. These are specifically developed. These tools from Google and in the GMB dashboard are specifically developed to expose the business to mobile searchers. I mean, yes, they're still effective on laptops and desktops, but again, around 65 to 70% of all searches with local intent now originate from mobile devices. And so those tools like the GMB posts, for example, are like posts that will show up in the Google search results from a mobile device that actually take up the whole entire screen. And there's strategic ways that you can use that. For example, ranking for keywords, which I'm pretty sure everybody's aware of that. It used to be where you would try to rank for, again, we'll say plumber, and I live in Culpeper, Virginia. So plumber, Culpeper, VA, or Culpeper plumber, things like that. But now because of mobile devices, it's unnecessary to add that local modifier, that city name to the search query. And in part, it's because think about when you do a search on your mobile device. So you go to Google, and you tap the search bar to start to type in, or you tap the microphone icon to speak in your search query, right? So that's a speech search. But let's just go back to the typing it in. You tap the search bar. What happens? Well, half the screen gets taken up by the keyboard, and the other half the screen, as soon as you start typing your search query, is taken up by Google suggested search queries. And what happens is people don't even end up typing out their full search query anymore, because usually there's a suggested search query that is either exactly what they were going to search for anywhere or close enough that they just tap on that. And you'll see that a lot of those, especially from a mobile device, whenever you start typing in like tree service, plumber, HVAC, or pretty much dentist, like for example, or pet store, something like that, you'll see one of the suggested search terms that's right at the top is always near me. So it's what I call a near me modifier. And there are variations of that, like near me, nearby, close to me, in my area. Those are all types of modifiers now that have really taken over the need to append a city modifier to a search term. Does that make sense?
It does. Matter of fact, as you were saying that, I pulled my iPhone up and I just started typing the word plumbers, just following your direction here. And I'm near Columbia, Tennessee. And the first thing it did is it finished that out saying plumbers in Columbia, Tennessee. And that was the first thing it wanted me to choose. I mean, it sort of didn't force me to, but it sort of did. And then as I pull up the page, it says here's 20 plumbers nearby. And then of course, there's a couple of ads. And then below that, it starts going through the listing. And at the very top, there was, a couple of suggested ones with the 5-star rankings and Google guaranteed and that sort of thing.
Sure.
So, yeah,
Sure.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it makes sense.
And so, that knowing that, here's the thing: most businesses don't understand how to manipulate that yet or take advantage of it. Okay, as an SEO, I call it manipulation, but really, it's taking advantage of these opportunities. And one of the things that you can do is utilize your Google My Business or GMB post function or feature that's available in your GMB dashboard. Okay. And that's something that is very simple to do. It's image-based posts, very much like Facebook is. But what you can do is type in at the very top of the text part of the post, you can type in, did you just search plumber near me? ? Right? And so you put plumber near me in quotes because now, like, it's hard to word some search queries in a way that makes sense. But in this case, you can just ask a question. Did you just search plumber near me or plumber in my area or plumber, Culpeper, Virginia? Well, look no further because we offer plumbing services to the Culpeper County, Virginia area and, provide free estimates, blah, 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 call to action, and then a link back. And doing that regularly and consistently, Google will start to reward those businesses that are utilizing the tools that it provides within the GMB dashboard by giving that business more exposure in the search engines. It's because you're satisfying the exact query that the Google user, the searcher, is searching for. And Google's whole intent, guys, that their primary objective is to end search. That's why in order to get listed in the top 10, you really have to satisfy the query, the searcher's intent. And by using the tools that Google gives you, it starts to reward you with more exposure and more traffic and ultimately more leads. Very similarly to if you're on Facebook. Now, I don't do much Facebook marketing specifically because, as I mentioned before, I don't think, at least for contractors, which is primarily my client base,
right?
It's hard to generate leads for contractors on Facebook because it's not, the users aren't in that mindset. But Facebook has a similar type of deal where if you're posting a image-based post or text-based post or a video post that does not contain a link that takes somebody off of Facebook to an external website, then Facebook will give that post so much more exposure to people that are either following you or friends, or if you're doing it from a business page, your business page followers, that kind of stuff. But as soon as you put an external link in that post, then Facebook significantly reduces its exposure. So you get less eyeballs to it. And think about why Google is doing this with the Google My Business dashboard and the tools that they give you, because traditionally the search engines, Google, will rank websites based upon having the most relevancy to that search query. However, what has it traditionally been? Traditionally, somebody clicks on a link from the search results and it takes people off of Google to an external website. Well, Google doesn't want that. Google wants to know what you're doing at all times, which they pretty much do because of Android devices and the Google Chrome browser and everything else. But so if you can keep people in the Google ecosystem as a business owner by utilizing the tools that Google gives you with the GMB or Google My Business platform, then Google is going to reward you, because now if somebody clicks through to your GMB post or your GMB, your map, so essentially your maps profile, or your GMB website, which is now a free website that is provided by Google as well, then you're keeping that user in the Google ecosystem so that Google can continue to track them. And so again, it's a great way to get more exposure as a local business, is to really utilize those tools.
So you keep, I mean, the key here, it seems to me, is the GMB, and that's the Google My Business tools. So, and one thing you mentioned earlier that was very interesting to me, you said there's places you can go there and sort of load up content like you would with blogs and so forth, or I guess it's very similar to something you would do on LinkedIn, doing one of their posts and kind of like a blog. Is there some key places there that a business owner should start? I mean, obviously they need to start with their address and the reviews and so forth, but where are the other top places you think they should fill out first before they consider that being used correctly?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it. So number one, first and foremost, is in the info tab. So when you're logged into your Google My Business dashboard, on the left-hand sidebar is where you're going to see the different tabs, so like essentially the different tools. The info tab is, you want to make sure that that's absolutely accurate. So number one, if you're a service area business, Okay, so and most contractors are service area businesses, which means they travel to the customer's location. The customer rarely, if ever, comes to the business location.
Okay.
If you're a storefront, that's different, right? So a storefront, here's the difference between service area business and storefront businesses. In Google My Business, there's in the info tab, there's a physical location, right? So that's essentially your address.
Mm-hmm.
And when you register your Google My Business profile with Google My Business, you have to provide an address. But if you're a service area business, as soon as you've verified your listing, you're supposed to clear the address because it's against Google's terms of service to have your business address listed if you're and published if you were a service area business. There are some exceptions to that. For example, like a kitchen remodeling company that also has a showroom, right?
Okay.
But just keep in mind, if you're a service area business, typically in almost all cases, you're supposed to click into that physical location setting, and there's a link in there that says clear address, and you're supposed to click that to clear the address and then save it so that it unpublishes the address. Your listing is still published, but it removes the address, the street address anyways. It will still show your city, but it won't show where you're physically located within the city.
Okay.
So that's number one. Number two is if you're a storefront, you do want to have your address listed, obviously, because people are going to click for driving directions. Make sure that it is accurately spelled and formatted properly. And the way that you can do that is go to the United States Postal Service website, so USPS.com, and go into their address formatting. It's just a way that you can standardize the address and then make sure that your address is formatted the way that it should be via the USPS standards. And then, guys, if you have a listing already and it's not formatted correctly, you can certainly go in and update it. Okay, as the business owner.
Perfect.
But as a service area business, the next important thing to do is right after clearing the address and saving that is underneath that. The very next part is the service area. The service areas where you set the service areas. Make sure that's accurate. If any of you have not gone through and optimized if any of your listeners, have not gone through and optimized that, I would highly encourage you to go in and click that service area setting and open it up and start typing in physically every single one of the areas. For example, most contractors have a fairly large, they might service one county, or they might service one specific city, or they might service several areas. Well, type all those in and make sure that they're all listed, because you can't get exposure from your maps listing unless you have those listed, within your service areas listed. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then on that same info tab, again, set your hours of operation, make sure they're accurate. There's also a section for your business description. Use it. It allows up to 750 characters. Type it out, write out a nice, thoughtful, not a spammy, but, a keyword rich, list your products and services, or name your products and services, name the locations that are part of your service area within your business description, and then save all of that. And then the next important thing to do would be to add some photos. There's a photos section also. That's on the left-hand sidebar. There's a photos tab. Add some photos, preferably photos that have been taken from a mobile device. And the reason I say that is because there is geographic metadata that is stamped onto photos that are taken from mobile devices. It's called EXIF data, but it's very important because that really reinforces to Google your location, and it adds what's called geographic relevance. But again, I don't want to get too technical, but I'm just telling you, these are simple things that can be done. But just taking photos from your phone, take photos of, if you're it doesn't matter what kind of business you are, but speaking about contractors, take photos of your shop, your trucks, your vans, some of your staff members. Use those. Take photos out on the job sites. Okay, and then post those to your Google My Business dashboard. Install the GMB or Google My Business app on your phone, and when you're on a job site, just snap a couple photos and just upload them to your Google My Business photos through the app on your phone. Those are all great signals to help, especially for service area businesses. If you take photos from a mobile device and upload them on location from your different job sites, Google's going to start recognizing where your service area is in reinforcing what you had already listed in your service area, and will start to give more exposure for your maps listing. And that's how you can get your maps listing to actually start to rank even in areas that aren't immediately adjacent to where you're physically located. Does that make sense?
It does. That is incredible. I had no idea that Google was using the geocode on the photos to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's incredible. And side note there on geocode, everybody, if you're taking a picture of your grandkids or kids and putting them on Facebook, don't do it with a mobile phone, because that geocode can be used for nefarious means as well.
Correct. Yeah.
That's just incredible. So I mean, if I had a brick and mortar business or, contractor business, even a service business that I didn't want somebody to come to my shop, I mean, that's the first thing I should do is just really fill out GMB and use that data to drive business and drive leads. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, and then the next part of that would absolutely be the GMB post feature, which is that's a way to update consistently and regularly. So what I recommend doing is you can, again, if you're taking photos, and look, I've got a lot of clients that don't provide me with photos. They just don't do it. And so you can, if you have a marketing guy or, and we can talk about that a little bit too, because I know, Greg, you and I talked about that prior to starting the call.
We should talk about that. Yes.
But if you can handle this on your own, again, taking photos from mobile devices, especially if you've got, staff members, you've got technicians that are out in the field, ask them to do it. Now, I know it's like herding cats sometimes to get that stuff done. Mm-hmm. But if you can, it really does make a big difference. And what you can do is go into Google Photos and create a shared photos album and share that with every one of your staff members or technicians or field ops, whatever, and have them just deposit those photos into the Google Photos folder or album, essentially. Mm-hmm. And then what happens is you can just grab those photos from that album or that shared photo album and use those as the images for the GMB posts. And again, that's all geotagged stuff. So you can actually target those search queries, specific search queries that you want to get exposure and leads from. So again, plumber near me, plumber in my area, plumber Culpeper. There's some of my surrounding towns would be like Warrenton or Fredericksburg. So I could say plumber in Culpeper, but taking images that were taken on location from Fredericksburg, creating a post, mentioning that keyword in there, giving a call to action and a contact phone number. Hey, you need plumbing service in Fredericksburg? Well, give us a call. And now again, that's Google will start to see that because look, none of your competitors are doing this. If you do this, you will start generating leads even from areas that are not immediately adjacent to you. That's my point.
Wow. Yeah, I just while you're talking, I'm opening up my Google, photos and things, and you're just I'm like there's some incredible power here that I just haven't taken advantage of, and I know a lot of other business owners haven't even begun to think about taking advantage of this. This is incredible, and everything you're talking about is essentially free. So
it is.
You just got to do it. You just got to make it happen.
And again, those are all Google tools, guys. It's all about using all the tools that Google gives you, and Google rewards those businesses that are using them because Google wants to keep, first of all, it can validate everything that you're doing if it's all done within the Google platform. So it knows it's not spammy. It can verify that it's being done, it's giving you these tools for specific reasons for you to use them. And then, like I said, it also encourages searchers to stay within the Google ecosystem as opposed to going off site.
Wow. It's just incredible. So let's just assume that, and I know the business owners listening to this are going to do this. They're going to take action. They're going to fill out their GMB. So let's just assume that they have, and this thing is built and as solid as can be, and their hours and their phone number and their location and the pictures and all this stuff has been put in place. What's the next step?
Well, the next step is consistency with the posting specifically, and that's that can be cumbersome. I know a lot of people will have good intentions and say, "Oh man, this is great. I'm going to go do this." But then, hey, let's all be honest here. You guys, as contractors or any type of business owner, really, you need to run your business, operate, manage your business. Right. And getting bogged down with the day-to-day grind of the marketing activities, a lot of the times people will give up, especially if they don't see initial results, like immediate results, people will give up. And I'm telling you, consistency is key. And so you and I, Greg, spoke about this prior to the call, but one of the things I know as an agency owner myself, I don't own a big agency. It is essentially me, and I've got a team of virtual assistants, essentially independent contractors that I have trained to do specific tasks, processes, right? So I outsource a lot of what I have learned how to do, and I've learned how to develop processes for specific marketing tasks that I now outsource to virtual assistants so that I can take on a higher volume of clients. But my point is that a lot of contractors, a lot of my own clients have come to me that have been burned in the past, or they got next to no results whatsoever from a big big box marketing agency that has a one size fits all type marketing solution. And how effective is that? If
Right.
any of your listeners have ever attempted those, they're probably had similar results, which were no results or poor results, or they weren't getting really a good return on their investment.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that I recommend first of all, as an agency owner, let me back up. First of all, as a former contractor. Second of all, as a small operations agency owner. And third of all, as a teacher, an instructor, a coach of other local marketers, I can tell you right now, your best bet as a local business in any industry, not just in as a contractor or home service industry, is to find a local marketing guy or girl, gal in your area. So a solopreneur or a very small agency owner that's local to you to do your marketing, to handle your marketing. Unless you have somebody in-house, a staff member or somebody else that is dedicated to doing the marketing for you, instead of going with these big agencies that are expensive and typically don't provide the best results, go find a local marketer in your local area that's a small solopreneur or has a very small team, because they will be able to provide you with customized service and individual attention that the bigger box agencies don't. And I can tell you with beyond a shadow of a doubt, again, coming from the contracting industry myself, having my own agency and now teaching others, that if you no one solution works across the board for every business. Mm-hmm. I can have 3 different roofing clients, and every single one of the marketing plans that I've created for each one of those roofers is different in some aspect. And so really you have to, working with a small company, a small agency, or even a solopreneur, so like a local marketing consultant, they can figure out what your needs are and custom tailor a marketing plan for your business that will help you to get better results than going with the big box companies where you're just another number, just another stream of revenue.
I appreciate that very much. That's very true, I believe. And from what I've experienced, I would say, and I use this number, based on the experience I've had with talking with business owners over the last couple of years in particular, is I would say it's about a 90% fail rate on the first engagement with the marketing firm. It may even be higher. And it takes several iterations till they finally do what you've said, and they find somebody that they can, that's the right size for them and that can help them in their local market and that sort of thing. So I appreciate you saying that. And I want to take that one elephant out of the corner of the room and drag it in the middle of the room that if you're not prepared to answer, that's fine. But can you give a business owner some sort of idea what that type of marketing engagement would cost them? And I know it's very, very variable depending on what you're doing and so forth, but just to give them some sort of directional thought, is that
sure
reasonable to ask?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to depend on many things. Like first of all, the local market, the market where you're competing in. So essentially, metropolitan areas are going to be more competitive. So it's going to require more marketing, which really boils down to a higher budget, a higher marketing budget. But more suburb areas and rural areas require much less work. That's less competitive. So it can range. It can range between, on the low end, I would say at the bare minimum, somewhere around $500 a month to get results for lead generation from Google. Anywhere to, depending on the size of the company and the size of the service area, it could go to $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month.
Okay.
What I have found, again, I work about 90% of my clients are contractors, and my sweet spot is between $500 and $1,500 a month. Okay. That's typically what I charge my clients.
Well, that's very reasonable. And I think most of the people that I've talked to are spending, I would say, I'm just going to pick a number, but it's close to around $2,000 a month is probably pretty normal for a service type business that I've heard. Some are spending more, and even at those levels, they're not getting what they think they should get. So I think what you've shared with us today, and I think your expertise is obviously proven. If you're offering those type of values, those type of levels, and getting results, that's pretty good. So I appreciate that.
One other thing I'd like to mention, especially for contractors, but I'm sure there are other lead generation services out there for other types of industries, is like Home Advisor. Let's use them. I don't want to pick on Home Advisor, but lead generation services, guys, I would encourage you. And look, I not only do I own a marketing agency where I provide client services, I also have my own lead generation business. So I've developed a lot of my own digital assets that produce leads in contracting industries, and I sell those leads to contractors. However, as a business consultant, it's in the business owner's best interest to really develop and build their own presence instead of relying on third-party lead sources. Because if you rely on third-party lead sources like Home Advisor or lead generation services, and again, I'm shooting myself in the foot here, but I want to be honest with your audience to say, like, some people just really don't have any desire to build their own online presence, and they just want leads for their business. And I get that, and that's fine. There are people and services out there that can do that for them. Mm-hmm. But if you're in the business long-term, I highly recommend, it's 2019 now. Build your own digital presence, because then you're not relying on what happens if that third party goes belly up or decides to stop selling you leads or does something unscrupulous and sells, like Home Advisor does at times, sells the same lead to multiple contractors, and then it's a race to the bottom, the lowest bidder. You know what I mean? Like, you're better off really developing your own presence so that you can make a name and a brand for yourself that people seek out, as opposed to just buying leads from somewhere else.
Very good point. The one last thing I'd like to touch on, we touched, but we didn't really dig into a little bit, is remarketing or retargeting. And one of the questions I know that somebody's probably going to think in their mind is, well, you do all this in Google, that's great. Do you ever retarget in Facebook or other platforms to sort of spread that presence, if you will? Yeah.
Okay. So now, again, personally, I don't do any Facebook marketing. I just don't. It is effective, though. Don't get me wrong. I have an aversion to Facebook. I'm not gonna lie.
I think a lot of us are getting that aversion.
Yeah. And so honestly, I just don't do any Facebook marketing. However, building a remarketing list that can also be used on, so that you can advertise on Facebook as well is effective. There's no question about it, but I'm a Google guy. So I stick to Google remarketing.
Okay.
Specifically YouTube, and the Google Display Network, which, here's the thing about remarketing, guys. If you've got your own website, you add the remarketing pixel or the remarketing tag, essentially, and every single time somebody lands on your site, they get cookied, and now you can literally follow them around the web with ads, like your ads. You don't have to be obtrusive about it, but you can just constantly remind them in a very non-confrontational way that you're there. Mm-hmm. Until they're ready. It's almost like the new version of building an email list. Okay. Which, by the way, building an email list is also powerful for local businesses, but one thing at a time. And as I mentioned before, I think remarketing is less obtrusive than constantly, spamming somebody's inbox. You know what I mean?
Right.
But one of the things about the Google Display Network within just the last year is before a year ago, I would have, remarketing on the Google Display Network was incredibly difficult to do, but it's gotten so much easier and so much better. And to actually set up the ad campaigns, if somebody's willing to do that on their own, it is so much easier to do now. But if you have somebody manage it, it's incredibly effective. Here's the thing. If any of your audience has ever done search marketing with Google ads, so pay-per-click for search ads, that, especially for contractors, can be, and chiropractors and dentists and things like that, can be incredibly expensive. Like, to get a search ad at the top, the top ad position above the maps pack and everything else for plumber near me or plumber plus your city name, like, it could literally cost you $35 per click. And, wow. And here's the thing, not every click is a lead. It could take you 3 clicks at a 30% conversion rate, which is pretty typical. Mm-hmm. It's going to take you 3 clicks to get 1 lead. And so you're paying $90, $95, $100 per lead, as opposed to, search engine optimization, which can get you leads for, you pay for the SEO, somebody managing the SEO, or you pay for it in time if you're doing it yourself, mm-hmm. but you're not paying per click. So if you start utilizing remarketing, anytime somebody lands on your site, remember, somebody clicks through to your site, that doesn't mean they're a lead. Unless they submit a contact form or pick up the phone and call you, that doesn't mean they're a lead, right? Like, they're only a lead once they do one of those conversion actions.
Right.
So by remarketing to them or cookieing them and then having your ads follow them around the web, which can be on every single website that shows ads, your ad can show up saying, hey, Joe's Plumbing's still here. Your drain's still leaking, or your drain's still clogged, or that water heater's still broken, whatever the case may be. You can use that to constantly remind them that you're there. And then, until they have reached a point where the problem that the thing that they were trying to solve has reached a point where they can't wait any longer, and they click through. And here's the thing, that it's a branding tool. To use remarketing, it gets your name in front of people over and over and over again. There's some old marketing knowledge out there that says somebody has to see a message 7 times before they'll take action. Well, it's hard to get somebody to come to your website 7 times.
Yeah.
But if you get them to come to your website once, and then your ads follow them around, and they see your brand 7 times because they're visiting other sites and doing other things, then that's how you get that message through. And when they're finally ready to take action, and they need that roof replaced finally, they're going to say, oh yeah, I keep seeing, Joe's Roofing Company and Culpeper everywhere. Let's just give them a call. They must be a good company. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It builds a trust with them because they've seen it over and over, and
correct.
They don't even know it. It's subconscious a lot of times. And then when they have to make the action, they go, well, that's who I'm calling. Because
sometimes they'll even go to search at that point and type that brand name in, as opposed to doing a generic roofer near me search. You know what I mean? Because it's top of mind at that point.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. I know we could talk for another couple of hours. This is fantastic stuff and very interesting. And, it's something that I believe every business owner needs to get their hands on. If you don't have anything going from a marketing perspective, especially with Google and the GMB that we talked about, I think you're really missing out. I mean, I've taken copious notes here. I know there's a lot of things I'm going to try to do fairly soon for my business. So, Bradley, we appreciate it very much.
Oh, I had a blast talking about it, as you can tell.
Yeah,
I'll go off on a tangent if I'm allowed to. So,
well, you're that electrical contractor that became a marketer. That's just an incredible journey. And so tell everybody that's listening, because they may go, wow, I really want to talk to Bradley more. How can they get in touch with you, and how can they reach out and ask you more questions?
That's a great question. Okay, so we've set up a welcome page for your listeners that they can go to. It's semanticmastery.com/business-owner-freedom, all one word. So again, semanticmastery.com/business-owner-freedom. Guys, we give you opt in over there, so submit your name and your email address, and we're going to send you a bunch of free stuff so that you can basically get more information about what we provide on the coaching and the information side. But that said, as business owners, I would encourage you. We have a weekly webinar series. It's free. It's a Q&A, digital marketing Q&A. We call it Hump Day Hangouts. It's on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern every single week. We've been doing it. We had episode 229 as of this week. So we've been doing it for well over 4 years now. And I absolutely love doing that. And I would encourage people to go to semanticmastery.com/Hump Day Hangouts, or Hump Day, just /Hump Day. If you go to our welcome page and sign up, we're going to send you information on anyways. But you're more than welcome to come to our Hump Day Hangouts. You don't have to attend live. You're all running your businesses. But you can submit questions on the webinar page at any time. Like during the week, anytime you want, you submit questions. And then we answer those questions live on the webinar. And you can always catch the replay. Or if you subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/semanticmastery, you'll see every single time we do our Hump Day Hangout webinar, you'll see a notification in your Gmail. Hey, Semantic Mastery's got another YouTube video, that kind of stuff. So you can ask questions at any time. We love to answer them. It's our way of giving back. This industry has been good to me, and I like to give back by just providing my time for an hour every single week.
Oh, that's perfect. I thank you very much, and thank you for being here with us today and sharing your wisdom.
I really appreciated it, Greg. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for being a part of the Business Owner Freedom community that is striving every day to live a life of freedom. Knowledge is good, but taking action is better. So apply and implement just one thing you learned on this podcast today as soon as possible, and continue on your journey to building a better business and a better life. God gave you skills and talents that are unique and special to you. Harness those and do awesome work in this world. Build a life of purpose and joy, and influence and inspire others to do the same. Till next week, all the best and enjoy the journey.